aspect that has positively impacted my life over the years, which is about minimalist living methods. In fact, I found these minimalist living methods even before I found the journey to financial freedom. Unlike the majority of people, who usually find the journey to financial freedom first, and then, because of the need to cut costs, they start to learn more, and gradually it leads them to minimalist living methods. In my case, it's a bit the opposite. I found this minimalist living method first, and then gradually it led me to the journey of financial freedom. Similar to the journey of financial freedom, discovering minimalist living methods has brought a lot of positive value to my life. And in today's episode, I will share with you a bit about the positive things that minimalist living has brought to me. Now, when I look back at my life in previous stages, during that time I made quite a lot of money, but at the same time, because I didn't know how to manage spending, I also shopped very freely. Even I had an activity that I am now afraid to look back on, which is the activity of collecting. Typical for my collecting activity at that time was that I collected perfumes, and the remnants of it still exist to this day on the shelf in my house. Since I was young, I have always loved fragrances. So when I grew up and started working and earning money, every time I had money, I was about to go buy perfume. At that time, I bought innocently. Even many times I bought just because I liked to buy. After buying, I ended up not using it. And as a result, until today, after so many years, I have given away to countless people. The number of perfumes I still have is still over 30 bottles. And that's just one example. Other items in the house are also in the same situation. Most of them are things I bought, then used a few times, and then left them in some corner. And so, the number of items gradually increased. Most of them just lay in one place. They occupied space in the house. 10 times a year I just took them out to use once. And this situation lasted until one time I accidentally heard a sharing. Actually, this friend did not talk about the topic of minimalist living, but through their sharing, I found a keyword called minimalism. From there, I started to learn, and the more I learned, the more I was attracted to this topic because it was so right with my situation and feelings. Also from there, I discovered that I was not an exception. There were also many other people in the world who were in the same situation as me, and people were also trying to escape this situation through a living principle called minimalism. Today, after many years of implementing this living principle, I can confidently say that this living principle will create a lot of value for everyone, especially for young people. This topic is actually very long to say all the ideas. Maybe I have to make a series like the topic of financial freedom. But this time, I will try to condense it into one episode. I will only keep it at the angle of sharing the positive things that it has brought to my life, how it has made my life better quality. If you are interested in the future, I will come back. Before starting on the positive things that this living principle has brought to me, I want to share with you a concept that is the opposite of minimalism, which is consumerism. Basically, if minimalism advocates for a lifestyle based on what we need, then consumerism advocates for a lifestyle based on what we want. Economically, consumerism is not necessarily bad, because it encourages shopping activities. It will push exports high, and the more shopping activities there are, the more taxes the government will collect. At the same time, companies also make more profits, and from there they pour money back into research activities to find new inventions. These inventions will continue to be used to attract users to shop again, and the cycle continues like that. Through that, society will gradually develop. That's why almost all economies in the world advocate for a consumerist lifestyle. If you notice, in every economic crisis, one of the first moves the government will make is that they will print more money and lower interest rates. These activities are basically to stimulate the economy. In a more colloquial way, they stimulate shopping activities to help the economic machine operate again. So, having listened to me so far, you might wonder if it creates so much value, then consumerism is not bad. Honestly, if you look at it from a general perspective, it's not necessarily bad. But if we zoom in on each individual, each family, the picture will be a bit different. Even, according to my personal observation, in many cases it will not be good. Here, surely we all know that advertising is one of the industries that brings huge profits worldwide. Companies like Facebook or Google which are among the largest companies in the world, all rely on their main source of revenue from advertising activities. And through these advertising activities, companies around the world, day by day, pump into our subconscious the needs that sometimes are not necessarily what we need. If people still consume within their financial ability, there is not necessarily anything serious. However, things do not stop there. One of the greatest inventions of consumerism, which can be considered as great or terrifying, is the credit card. Since the invention of the credit card, consumers can shop more than their financial ability. Now, you can take the item you want home and owe it to pay back at the end of the month. If at the end of the month you do not have enough money to pay, you can postpone that debt to the following months. Obviously, you have to pay interest on these debts, and this interest is one of the main sources of income for banks. I read a statistic about 12 years ago, which is that, on average, each person in the US has a credit card debt of over $6,000 per person. And that's just credit card debt. I haven't mentioned other debts. And so people continue to shop carelessly and get into debt carelessly. Then, because they are in debt, they have to work hard to pay off the debt. If they are doing a job they like, it's not a problem. But in many cases, they have to do jobs they don't like, just because they have to work to earn money to pay off the debt. And because they do such jobs after stressful working hours. At the end of the month when they receive their salary, do you know what they do to reward themselves? They go shopping again to reward themselves with some items, some convenient items. And the more they shop, the more they get into debt. And so that cycle keeps going on and on. And in that cycle, companies will sell more and more goods. Yes, the government also continues to collect more taxes thanks to that. The only entity that suffers is the consumers. The sad news is that companies and the government also do not need to help us escape from this cycle, because basically, they need an economy to operate like that. From the perspective of these two groups, such systems will be better for them and better for the overall picture. But if we switch to the consumer's perspective, the picture is not so bright, especially for those who do not know how to manage their finances. There's a very famous movie called The Matrix. This movie tells about a fictitious world where everyone is asleep and everything they perceive daily is through the control of a server. The entire human race at that time lies within these systems, with only a few people waking up and escaping. When I learned about consumerism, sometimes I feel it's not much different from the Matrix. Most people are born and grow up and are swept into this flow of shopping, money, and debt that companies and governments are pushing. According to statistics, an additional 70% of workers do not like the job they are doing. And in some statistics, this number goes up to 85%. For these people, every day they wake up to go to work is a very long day for them. They just look forward to the end of the workday. And at the same time, everywhere, advertising activities continuously pour into their ears. Messages like, "You are too tired with work, reward yourself with this product or that product." And so, people listen over and over until it becomes unconscious, and we also agree that those products will enhance our quality of life somewhat. But in fact, it is pulling us deeper into that consumption spiral, and from there, it continues to make our lives lower, quality even more. So how do we escape this endless cycle? According to my personal thinking, it will be through two tools. The first is financial freedom, and the second is minimalist living principles. So why do I say that minimalist living methods will help us escape from that cycle? First, to start, try this small activity. Open your wardrobe and see how many clothes you bought, but rarely wear. There is actually a statistic for this. On average, a normal person only wears 20% of all the clothes they own. This means that, on average, up to 80% of the items people own just lie in one corner, year after year. Yet we continue to shop, buy more clothes. Similarly, now for those who have moved out, try looking around your house to see how many items you currently own and how many of them are regularly used. How many items are just lying in a corner collecting dust for a long time? For the majority of cases, this number will not be small. This situation will create two problems for us. The first is obviously a waste of money. But more importantly, the second problem is that owning too many items will greatly reduce our quality of life. The first point that is most easily seen is that it makes our houses more cramped and cluttered. And just this alone, according to scientific research, has directly affected our emotions and health. There is an interesting study. One of the reasons why people like to go on vacation at resorts is because in addition to the fact that these places have beautiful scenery, everything there is neat and convenient compared to their cluttered homes. While everything should be the opposite, the house should be the warmest and most convenient place for us. The third point, a bit more abstract, is that owning too much material wealth invisibly becomes a burden on our shoulders. How can we freely go anywhere? Now, try to imagine, if there is a company in another city or even another country, there is a job that you like. But now, looking back at the total amount of belongings and assets that you have so much, it will also make you have to think carefully. Invisibly like that, we are limiting our living space to only within the scope of a city or a country. As for my case, if there is a company in New York that invites me to a job that I like, then within a week I can gather all my belongings and leave immediately, without having to worry about anything. That is the freedom that minimalist living has given me. And in my opinion, that is the greatest value that minimalist living brings to us. But besides that, there are countless other benefits, and within this short framework and time, I only share with you a few typical benefits that it has brought to my life. The second benefit is that these minimalist methods help improve my quality of life. I will say this through an example. That is on average a quality suit. People often call it travel gear. Then with a quality suit, it will cost dollars ranging from $2,000 to $5,000. And similarly, a normal suit will cost about $500 to $700. In the old days, I would tend to buy a lot of normal clothes. However, now that I have switched to minimalist living, I only have 1 or 2 sets in my wardrobe, but they are quality sets. And because quality suits are meticulously tailored with very expensive fabric materials, so obviously their lifespan is much more durable than normal suits. If with normal suits, then about 12 years I have to change once. Then with the sets I own, some sets I have worn to the 5th year, but their quality is still almost perfect. Then the same period of 5 years. If it was before, then I had to buy normal suits several times. Then it is equivalent to this 5-year period. That's not to mention every time I wear this suit, it fits my body and it makes me feel very comfortable and confident. Every time I wear it, one way is to buy many sets, but the number of times I wear it is not many times. In the end, I have to throw it away, so go buy a new set. One way is to fully use the products that I have spent money to buy. And every time I use it, it always brings me a feeling of comfort and confidence. Clearly, through the above example, owning less has made me focus on quality more. And from there, it has improved my quality of life. This is not only true with the above example, but it is almost true with all the items we own, from clothes to shoes, vehicles, and items in the house. That's why now every time I need to buy something, I usually tend to choose the best possible items. It may be that the initial cost will be higher than the miscellaneous items, but considering the entire life cycle of that item, in fact, I have saved more. The third point is that living minimally saves time. This is also an example of clothing. In the past, every time I went shopping, I had to spend a certain amount of time going around to find the models that suited me, and then I had to try on different sizes to see which one fit me. However, now after applying minimalist living methods for many years, I have optimized my clothes shopping to a very optimal level. Through many years of filtering processes, I have chosen the clothing brands that suit me best, corresponding to each type of clothing I need to buy. For example, which brand for everyday wear, which brand for business, or going out, which brand for special occasions. I even know which models of those brands will suit me. Thus, it saves me a lot of time, and I no longer have the concept of randomly wandering shopping. I have certain time frames. After a period of time, I will go buy a new batch of clothes, and each time like that, because I know exactly what I need to buy and where it is. Even the item I need to buy is on which shelf and when I get there. I also know exactly which size is the best fit for my body with those brands. Even in most cases, I don't even need to try them on anymore. Therefore, the total time I spend on shopping for my belongings has now been greatly reduced. And most importantly, all the items I buy are the best quality items, right, with the style I want the most. Nowadays, everything I buy will also be what I will use 100%. No longer the situation of buying and then leaving 80% as before. The fourth point is that living minimally saves me more. I've mentioned this before, it's about buying quality items. Considering the total life cycle of an item, it will save me more than buying non-quality items. But I optimize this even further, because I know exactly which brands the items I need to buy are from. Therefore, I have prepared a list of items I need to buy and added some simple actions. From now on, I have a notification system from the brands I like, so that whenever they have a discount program and those items match the items on my list, I will receive a notification. And so, if necessary, I will place an order. And thanks to that, in quite a few cases, I don't have to pay full price but still buy the item I need. The fifth benefit of applying a minimalist lifestyle is that it helps me consider more each time I shop for something. I work in the field of customer experience, so I know quite well about the tricks in stimulating user shopping behavior. And because it is also my specialty, I have built myself a few tricks to counter this. For example, whenever I need to buy something, instead of choosing on the website, after having enough information, I will put that item into a list that I named the items I intend to buy. And then, I temporarily forget it. If after a while, in my daily life, there are still things that make me need to use that item, then I will mark that item with an additional star. When it has enough certain number of stars, then I will buy that item. Conversely, after a while when I look back, if that item does not have any stars, then I will delete that item from the list. The reason I do this every time I buy something is because for me now, every time I buy an additional item, I see it as if I am adding another burden on my shoulders. If the value that the item brings to my life is not enough to balance the burden it adds, then I will not buy it. Rather accept losing a bit of convenience, but in return, I get a lighter life and I also practice the habit of letting go for myself. The word letting go sounds heavy, but letting go. Here, I am talking about the meaning of owning belongings. In the past, I kept a lot of items because they were associated with some memories. It's a pity to throw them away, but if kept, they just lie there, and wherever I go, I have to drag them along. Now, after many years of living in a minimalist style, I have developed a habit for myself. I only keep the memories in my head. Or at most, I will scan them, or take pictures of them, and save them on my computer. Then after that, I can throw those items away. I think there are other people who need that item more than me. Another benefit of minimalism is that it helps make living spaces neater. My house is always tidy and organized. In fact, I don't have many things to clutter. Therefore, every day when I wake up, I get to have breakfast in a spacious, clean space. Then afterwards, I get to sit at a neat, organized work desk. And such a living environment creates a lot of positive energy for me. And alongside that, I don't have to clean up the machine. Because as I said, I don't have many things to clutter. In fact, I find it harder to clutter than to tidy. And finally, also something I've said before, but because it's the most important thing, I repeat. That is, minimalism helps give me back freedom. And for me, freedom is the most valuable thing. Now, I can freely live anywhere I want. My luggage is very light, and every time I leave somewhere, I only bring experiences. I don't add any items to my life. In the framework of a few dozen minutes today, I have only been able to talk about the positive things that minimalism brings in terms of material aspects. But in fact, minimalism has many other aspects. It is also minimalism in finance, minimalism in life principles, even minimalism in thinking. In each such aspect, minimalism creates a lot of positive value for my life. If the journey of financial freedom helps me not depend on money, then minimalism helps me not depend on material things. For me, both are very important and valuable. Through a few shares of mine in this episode today, I hope I have shown you the values that minimalism has brought to my life. And hopefully, through that, it has also conveyed to you a bit of inspiration about this lifestyle. If you want to share more about minimalism in finance, in life principles, even minimalism in thinking, please like and comment to let me know. I will try to make more good videos about minimalism. It will be very interesting. If you find this content useful, please share it with your friends. Thank you for your follow-up and see you in the next episodes.